Over 2 years after starting the project, I'm changing my game genre. I'm making Merchants of the Stars an incremental game, and I'm excited to show you the cool new upgrade system that I've been working on. Why the change? People keep saying that this game doesn't make sense on Steam, and what annoys me is that they're right. Bluntly, the game is too simple, and this is a real problem. While players tell me that they find the game fun, they quickly get bored. My Steam analytics show a median playtime of only 9 minutes, which is well below average according to Steam. For anyone new, Merchants of the Stars is a space traffic control game where you guide ships into docks to deliver cargo. You also collect asteroids, fight pirates, travel through wormholes, and try not to crash into any space whales. But changing to an incremental genre wasn't my first choice. No, my first instinct was to simply add more content. But I slowly started to realize that it would never be enough, and I finally hit rock bottom after building a complex time travel mechanic. After making it, I realized it was a novelty that would add a few minutes of playtime at best. This was not depth or replayability. Lost and a little sad, I took a few weeks off to reassess, spending the time creating an experimental 3D roguelike, Fight Island. While building that game, a plan began to form in my mind. For Fight Island, I made a store and upgrade system, and with money already being a core mechanic of Merchants, I realized that a similar upgrade system could work there too. An upgrade system naturally suggests a roguelike or incremental game, but I felt that in this case, the incremental genre fit better, and would be easier to pull off. I'm wary of scope creep, which this certainly is, but I've been able to convince myself that an upgrade system is a natural and limited extension to the existing game. As I thought more about the idea, I realized that I wasn't really changing the genre at all. I was just adding one. The game was so simple before that you could argue it was just a few random mechanics in a trench coat, rather than a cohesive whole. Incremental games are typically some collection mechanic paired with an upgrade system. I already had a fun way of collecting money, so the main thing needed was to add an upgrade system. Nothing too fancy, but enough to add a sprinkling of depth and replayability. First, an upgrade button. The gameplay can be frantic, and it's easy to forget to check for affordable upgrades, so I added an animation to show when any upgrade is affordable, and an even bigger animation to show when all upgrades are affordable. Next, the upgrades themselves. I started with the classic roguelike design, 3 upgrade cards to choose from. If you don't like them, you can re-roll, for a price. I then spent too long prematurely polishing the card design, and ended up with this. See that gold card? I had the idea that the blue upgrades would be relatively small, incremental upgrades, things like improving cargo delivery fees or adding ships. But the gold cards would be more powerful, but with only a limited number active at once. To allow this, I made an inventory system to the right side, showing your collection of gold, or active, cards. This system should allow for interesting game design. You need to be selective about the interesting gold cards, and that makes each run a bit different. The random store means that even if it isn't too well balanced, you can't get the optimal cards every time. I then spent a lot of time creating satisfying animations and sound design for the upgrade cards. Definitely premature polish, but this is honestly the stuff that I live for. It seems important to be able to see what blue upgrades you have, so I made a submenu to show the level of each upgrade, along with a summary of what overall effect it has. Let's talk about the actual upgrades. I added a lot of the natural incremental improvements, adding various kinds of ships, improving profit, and so on. The upgrade system itself gave the opportunity for some meta upgrade types, such as adding additional active slots. One upgrade type I was excited to add was this expand card, which physically zooms out the camera, showing your expanding merchant empire. Not only does it give a visceral feeling of progress, but it gives you more room to maneuver, making it easier to avoid collisions, which is important as you add more and more ships. On top of this, new upgrades unlock with each expansion level, a simple but effective tech tree. The gold, active upgrades require more creativity. These have the potential to add a lot to the game, but only if I can get them right. So far, I have only a few implemented, like flexible logistics, which makes all cargo types the same, but at the cost of profit, or monopoly, which doubles your profit but at the cost of more pirates, or excellent insurance, which prevents losses due to collisions but costs more depending on how many collisions you've already had. These are a start, but I don't think they're the best yet. Ideally, I want effects that allow a decent number of viable strategies for winning. I haven't quite figured it out yet, but now that I've finished the infrastructure, I can dedicate a lot more time to experimenting and thinking of cool ideas. If you have any ideas for active upgrades, let me know in the comments. One issue I ran into is that at higher expansion levels, there are a lot of ships on the screen at once, and the game gets overwhelming. A problem, but also a great opportunity to add upgrades to help. I added the ability to pause for a short time with a cooldown between uses. With upgrades, this ability becomes more and more useful, until by the final expansion level, you can spend a lot of time paused, helping significantly with the overwhelm. In most incremental games, the game also allows you to automate away some of the manual work you did at lower levels. In my case, this would mean some form of automatic navigation or collision avoidance for ships. I haven't figured out the right way to do that yet, but it's something I'm looking forward to tackling. But what's the actual goal of the game? For now, there's a simple green win upgrade that you purchase to finish the run. It costs a lot, so you need to make your upgrades work together to achieve it. Or at least that's the idea. And that's where the game is today. I'll be looking for playtesters soon, so please check out the Discord in the description below. Is adding upgrades enough? Will tacking on a genre elevate a simple toy to a game with depth and replayability? Let me know what you think in the comments. For my part, I think the jury's still out, but I'm excited to see where this goes. Subscribe for more about my games, and I'll see you next time. Bye!